All right. Hello, Marjorie. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have you all joining us today. My name is Courtney Trenelia from Circonte, and I'll be moderating today's session. I have a few housekeeping items to cover. Yes, the sessions are recorded, and they'll be available on demand after the event. We'll also be following up with them via email. If you have a question, please post it at the Q&A in the tab above. And lastly, use the chat. There are emojis, GIFs, and more, and we want to hear from you as the presentation goes on. So let's get started. I'd like to introduce you to our speakers today, Lucy Mazalon and Lauren Metcalf, who have an awesome session ready for us today, all about can GPT replace a Salesforce marketer? Welcome.
Thank you so much, Courtney, and it's great to return to yet another Mar-Dreaming. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for choosing our session today. I know there's lots going on at the same time, so we really appreciate it. So my name is Lucy Mazalon. I'm the Operations Director at SF Ben. You might not recognize the new logo. We just had a rebrand this week. So we've gone from the classic blue, Salesforce blue, to purple. So actually it blends in very nicely with this slide deck as well. So at Salesforce Ben, we are a media platform where people from the community contribute content, share their knowledge, share their ideas, but we're always kept on our toes because the world of Salesforce doesn't stop moving. I was formerly a Pardot and Salesforce consultant for a few years, and through that I founded The Drip, which has now been fully merged with Salesforce Ben. So all the marketing content is on Salesforce Ben now. And I'm also a marketing champion, and I'm joined today with my colleague, Lauren.
Hi everyone, it's really exciting to join you today. This is my first Mar-Dreaming, so I'm excited to get involved. I'm the content and services delivery lead at Salesforce Ben, but I also work closely with Lucy on the marketing content, covering everything to do with Salesforce marketing on the platform.
Yeah, it's never a dull moment.
Never. Yeah, so we first want to say thank you to the sponsors. This event wouldn't be possible without them, so big thanks.
Great. So today's agenda is split into three main parts. So we've got, I put upcoming reality because in some ways it is the reality with all these new things coming onto the Salesforce platform that we can get our hands on. There's like a staggered rollout. So I didn't want to say it is available, but you know, that's the little upcoming. So yeah, we're just going to show a very brief history of Einstein GPT, which is now Einstein 1, and talk about what Einstein 1 for marketing does, which will be the use cases that are currently available. Then we'll go into more can GPT replace a marketer, not specifically ChatGPT, which we'll get to in a second. So we're looking beyond just Salesforce as a technology, looking at all the different areas that marketers, the responsibilities that marketers juggle day to day. So we've chosen 3 of those. And then a couple of months ago, I kind of let my imagination run wild to see, okay, what else could be added to the platform in the future? So yes, as I mentioned, let's just clear this up. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformers. You don't need to know that, but GPT is a technology concept, not a specific brand name. I think ChatGPT has become such a household name. It's easy to confuse the two, but ChatGPT is a product. GPT itself is a technology concept. All right, then, the upcoming reality.
Yeah. So this slide has a lot on it, but don't worry, we're not going to go through all of it. We just wanted to show the speed of innovation and the adoption of new technology. It's really unprecedented, and Salesforce's Einstein AI offerings have moved very fast. For example, ChatGPT isn't even a year old yet. It's like birthdays in November sometimes, so it's coming up to a year that ChatGPT has been around. From March is when they announced Einstein GPT, and it shows how Salesforce are really heavily invested in all corners of their platform, with the big switch to Einstein 1 in September at Dreamforce.
Lovely. And specifically for marketers, there's 3 I guess, phases that we've been through. And again, this is all within the space of 6 months. So they've taken us on a wild ride. So as Lauren mentioned, in March, Salesforce launched Einstein GPT, which I'm calling like the V1. So what we saw was a demo that showed, didn't actually label it with, it didn't actually show what technology it was actually being used on. So was it like Marketing Cloud or account engagement? But what they were just trying to show is how you can generate personalized content for email, mobile, web, and advertising, amending the tone, the length, etc. Then at Connections in June, we actually had more of a, this is specific to one of the Salesforce products with Marketing GPT. Again, lots of use cases that we'll dive into in a second. And then, as I mentioned, Einstein 1 is the new name essentially for the Salesforce platform. And so that's why we're calling it Einstein 1 for marketing. There's actually too many to name. There were 13 capabilities for Marketing Cloud alone. There was another 13 for Commerce Cloud, for example, and all the respective Salesforce clouds also, but a few of them to highlight was the dynamic content, advertising audiences and lookalikes, and segment intelligence.
So here we're just going to share a few of the use cases which Salesforce have targeted and what GPT technology is primed for. This one is email and subject line copy, and Salesforce led with the phrase, "With Einstein, an email is just a sentence away," when they launched it. In this use case, you can generate messaging faster and have the end result reflect what was previously done well in your company's past campaigns. You can also adjust and refine the tone, for example, generating 3 variations based on top performers, and you can choose from them. But ultimately, the marketer has the decision-making power, and they can accept the suggestions, or they can also opt to A/B test.
And another prime example for where ChatGPT can really help a marketer is all in terms of segmentation. So I won't go through each of these in detail because some of them, when I describe them, they're going to sound similar. Some are available for Marketing Cloud, some are available, you have to have Data Cloud actually licensed for it. But yes, as you may know, Data Cloud essentially underpins the whole Salesforce platform. It's providing the connectivity between clouds, so it gets the data flowing faster. However, it's also a product that organizations can buy for that profile unification and segment activation. So pushing it to destinations such as Marketing Cloud. So yeah, with Data Cloud, you're essentially supercharging all of that. And here's how it looks. You know, it's conversational. You're writing prompts to get a segment back from Einstein GPT, and it just prevents us having to look through multiple reports and sift through rows of data to understand what segments we can pull, and what, you know, you obviously want to check that when you're campaign planning, you actually have a decent amount of people in each segment before you start going too granular. All right, so can GPT replace a marketer? And the short answer really is no, but we all know there's nuance, and the short answer isn't always reflective of the whole picture. So marketers do need to be adaptable, you know, embracing this technology, but not lose sight of their value. I put ensure others don't undermine them, because there were lots of, I guess, anecdotes like, oh, I can replace my whole marketing team with AI. And that's just not the case, right? But you don't want, we still want to be showing our value. And that's, you know, with the human in the loop, intentional friction is how Salesforce have developed their features, which pretty much means like AI won't go off and do something unless you tell it to. You have to like validate at each stage. And then there's increasing pressure that's being placed on marketers. So it's about time that we can get support from a companion, almost like a virtual assistant. accelerate the most time-consuming tasks, which in turn allows us to flex our creative muscles. And as marketers attending this conference, I'm sure that everybody has some tech curiosity, and we all want to work smarter. So before we go forward, what follows after, we're going to show one slide with some survey results, and then what follows after that is opinion-based. We put together this content based on Salesforce's technology progression, as in where they're going forward, anecdotes from marketers, and also marketing technology thought leaders beyond the Salesforce ecosystem. So just taking little tidbits and putting it all together.
So yeah, here are the stats that this research that Lucy was just talking about. They're from Salesforce research. The first list shows how marketers are using generative AI in their day-to-day. You can see that basic content creation and writing copy are like the two most common use cases there at the top. And then on the other side, it shares some of the ways that AI is transforming a marketer's job. And this includes analyzing marketing performance data and creating segments for marketing campaigns. So that's just some of the key use cases that Salesforce themselves have identified. But there's more to marketing than Salesforce. There are many responsibilities marketers have, and this goes beyond any technology. Here, we've picked 10 areas where marketers spend their time. We have marked whether they are covered by Einstein, with a check showing yes, a cross being no, and the wiggly line demonstrating that there's some coverage, but not entirely. We've also assigned a GPT impact rating. This is whether the task could be disrupted by AI in the foreseeable future. But in this case, disrupted is not a negative statement. It's being disruptive in a way that has a positive end result. So we've already covered content creation and segment creation. Now we'll put a spotlight on one from each of the rating. These three are analytics as high impact, social media for medium, and user adoption for low.
Great. So analytics. Personally, this is the one that I'm most excited about. While Salesforce has done a good job of embedding that query-based exploration, by that I mean you typing a prompt and it gives you, the answer from all that reams of data that you have across platforms. So, we use other systems as marketers, other data repositories. So I got interested in potential for Google Analytics to query that data. I don't know about you, GA4 has been a bit different to use. So yeah, just like improving that adoption and also improving adoption for other people in the company to get more interested and more in tune with the data. So how could GPT have an impact? Imagine being able to create a repository of data and using prompts to surface what you need. So yeah, as we see on the side, that's what segment intelligence for Data Cloud is getting at. As I mentioned, the sifting through multiple rows of data or multiple pages in Google Analytics could be a thing of the past. I've heard others using BigQuery and OpenAI to take that even further. But obviously, you have to make sure it's a secure environment when you're sharing data like that. So why there needs to be a human in the loop? Well, actioning insights. There is a trust issue. Like, do the results look right? Is there a data set missing? Is the data fresh? So are anomalies being exacerbated? So yeah, there is that element of there still needs to be a human in the loop.
And then for social media, AI can elevate social media to determine strategic direction, foster human connection, and uncover customer perception. Two main areas of this are prospect/customer engagement to generate new business and loyalty, and social customer care, for example, customers reaching out for assistance via social networks. GPT could have an impact because you can respond faster in an accurate way with something that is valuable to each interaction. And there are a lot of use cases for this as well, including social content creation, generating suggested replies, determining optimal send times, identifying target customer segments, predicting customer behaviors, and optimizing pricing and product listings. But as always, there needs to be a human in the loop. Social media needs creativity to help brands stand out from the crowd. And this reflects back to the intentional friction approach, where a user still needs to validate the outputs for accuracy on what they want their brand to portray. Now they'll be doing this efficiently and at scale.
Yeah, absolutely. User adoption. So user adoption, if you're not familiar, measures the extent to which users have incorporated Salesforce or other tools into their day-to-day tasks. Without users actually using Salesforce, the platform begins to become less of a source of truth, as stale data, incomplete data breeds mistrust, which further deteriorates your data quality. And that's just, you've got all this shiny technology. You don't want to fall down at the last hurdle by not having good user adoption. So how GPT could have an impact. We also talked in this guide that we published, we also talked about documentation. So similar to that, you could leverage GPT to summarize large amounts of information on the solutions you've implemented. Make the tone more approachable, change the length of it, like make it more concise. So if your internal communication goes unnoticed, it could be a good time to look at rephrasing. Why there needs to be a human in the loop. Change management is how organizations implement and adopt changes and then iterate upon them over time. So this is a highly sought after soft skill and requires a human to human approach, just so that there is no one answer to change management. There are tactics you can do, and you just really need to have a pulse on your user base and be adaptable to that. So, GPT can't tell you how to do that. It's all dependent on your organization and as that changes and as that user base changes over time. Great. So now we get to the final part, which is the imagination section. Like I said, a couple of months ago, I let my imagination run wild. So here's the first one. Account engagement optimizer was a really nice addition. I really like it, which became generally available in the summer 23 release. It gives you a big picture view of your business units in account engagement. So if items need your attention, they'll be flagged, and you'll be presented with proactive recommendations to take action quickly. So wouldn't it be great if you had an injection of predictive insight? Not only how your account is performing now or has been recently, but also running what if scenarios. One example I thought of would be, if I added all these marketing assets or prospect records, how would that impact the connect to sync capacity? And sorry, before we move on, I just want to make it clear that this is totally speculative. We don't have some magic crystal ball. We're not taking this from Salesforce's real roadmap. We're just thought we'd share this with you and see if you agree that these would be good additions and if you would use them. And of course, if you've got any more to add, that'd be awesome. Right, sync errors. So again, this is account engagement. So this is the connector between account engagement and Salesforce. Errors can happen for a number of reasons, like a Salesforce admin can change a pick list value, and that impacts what values account engagement can sync to Salesforce. Things like that, especially if your Salesforce org is in a state of flux, lots of changes happening. You could log in the morning and find thousands of sync errors. I have been in that position before, and it's it's a bit grisly. So yeah, how could predictive insight help here? Like, be alerted to sync errors and maybe have AI analyze the root cause. I mean, we can't let GPT run wild, but you could actually fix or recommend fixes for that. And then finally, testing marketing assets. So you've got so many assets and so many automations going on. How do you know that they are working correctly, not broken pages, not form field changes like I just mentioned, for example, with the pick list values. How do you know that they're working and working together? So this brings me to test automation, which is a category of technology that essentially systematically goes through each possible scenario. So each possible, if this happens, then this happens, and then that gives you like almost like a pass or fail scenario. But it goes through to the extent that no human could feasibly do in a short amount of time. So yeah, just would love to see some test automation happening. And obviously there are providers on the market, but yeah, I think it's a one that would give marketers and admins peace of mind.
Yeah. On Salesforce Ben, we've also got other articles about how GPT could impact each role. This includes admins, developers, and architects. And then also, if you wanted to read more about this, we do have one on marketers too. So.
Lovely. All right. So we welcome your questions, and yeah, Courtney, over to you.
Hey, thank you, Lucy and Lauren. That was an amazing session. I really like your imagination section, how we can envision the future using these tools that we already have today as a platform. We do have a few minutes for Q&A, so if anybody watching wants to drop some questions into the Q&A tab or in the chat, we'll watch for those. I have one to kick us off. So I'm curious to hear from you both of what skills do you think a marketer has today that's going to help us adopt this new technology?
Very good question. And well, my initial answer isn't to do with marketers specifically, but I think it's all a skill we can start honing in on. So that's prompt engineering, like understanding how to construct good prompts, garbage in, garbage out. GPT is not a mind reader. So yeah, that's an interesting skill. And Salesforce have talked about prompt studio, prompt builder. They changed the name, but that's going to help admins to create prompt templates that other users can use. So yeah, I just think as marketers, we're really good at portraying things and messaging. So I think that's going to be in our favor when writing prompts.
Where do you suggest people start practicing that skill right now?
Just with any AI tools that they interface with. So yeah, I mean, ChatGPT is the obvious one, Bard. But, I have been playing around with it, obviously not putting in sensitive data per se, but just seeing how intelligent it is and how much it can read my mind, right? And spit out what I want. I wrote a whole murder mystery for the Salesforce Ben team with characters and everything. So I was really impressed by that. Yeah, test it, take it to its limits.
Yeah, you really have to play around with the tools quite a lot to figure out what works and what doesn't. Like we've noticed some things like if you put things in brackets in ChatGPT, it doesn't really like it. So there's little things like that which you can, as you use the tools more, you'll get to understand.
And forgive me, Lauren, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think you were a skeptic for content writing.
Yeah, I was a bit of a skeptic. I think there is some use cases, but yeah, sometimes with content writing, it can sound completely wrong, especially when you've got a specific like brand tone or tone of voice and things like that, which is a lot of the things that we focus on at Salesforce Ben. So we want to make sure that that stays intact. So yeah, at first I was a skeptic, but I feel like there is some really good use cases now. I've figured them out.
It's interesting where that human element still comes in, right, to the point of your session today. There is a question in the chat from Autumn, so thanks for asking. Do you think AI is going to continue to improve on itself? Currently, things like voiceover can sound a little robotic.
Yeah. That's why there needs to be a human in the loop all the time, because otherwise it will every website would sound the same if everybody was using ChatGPT. And I think Salesforce have also made a really big point of saying that GPT outputs are based on your organization's data, on your organization's context. So yes, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Salesforce are going to bring out, and behind the scenes they're doing a lot of research. So yeah, I mean, Lauren, do you want to add anything about the other tools that we use internally? Any that come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, not so much for content, like for text, like written, but we use Canva, and it's a lot of people's favorite tool. But yeah, recently I've been playing around with the AI tools on there for images, obviously, but some of them are really good, and I think that's a really good use case for getting like unique images. Although it's still not very good at doing like human arms, and things always look a little bit dodgy. but yeah.
Yeah. Also, to that point, with the typeface partnership that Salesforce have been talking about, I think it might be generally available now. But that demo was really impressive. So if you have a chance to check that out, it is a paid for service, but obviously the integration, the connector is free. But yeah.
Good. All right. Do you think that now's the time for marketers to start looking at this? You know, obviously they talked a lot about AI at Dreamforce. We're hearing it in the US side in the White House this week with some of the, I don't know what the word is, but messaging around that and orders going in place. I'm sure there are some of us who haven't touched the tool much. We're like, yeah, we're just kind of waiting to see where it goes. We hear about this. What do you think people should do today to kind of take that next step?
That's a really good question. I do think that we should be staying abreast of all the regulation that's coming. We're having similar things in Europe and the UK because we're no longer EU. But yes, it's staying abreast of that, and I know that Salesforce are also staying abreast of that. And just do it in a safe environment, that you're not like exposing sensitive data, like going into the abyss, into this like big repository that you don't know where that's gone. I think there was some lawyer that got in trouble the other day for doing something. But yeah, it's like GDPR. You get these like horror stories, but just staying abreast of everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and trying out new tools, and even if you're not using them for like day-to-day work things, just play like Lucy's playing around with murder mysteries and things like that, just to get an understanding of them, I think is really great.
Lauren, I thought you were gonna, when you said me playing around, I thought you were talking about the one where you can like clone yourself.
Oh yeah, we're not going there yet, but
controversial. But yeah.
What's this murder mystery one?
Sorry?
Did you mention a murder mystery one? Is that what you said, Lauren?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
For the whole team, it spit out all the characters and the storyline, and yeah. So it's also about I suppose iterating on your first prompt and then iterating again, and so that really helped me like go forward with that. And just refining your prompts.
Good. Any other questions from our audience? Please pop them in. We have a couple more minutes left.
Yeah, I think like I was saying, this prompt builder, prompt studio, where admins on the Salesforce side can create these templates. I think that's going to be really interesting. I'll have to check when it's actually available. Maybe someone out there knows.
Actually.
And I think at this point we've got New York World Tour coming up in December, and then TDX. So keep an eye out. What's going on?
There'll be a lot more.
Good. Awesome.
Are there any final questions?
Yeah, if there's any final questions, please feel free. Otherwise, we'll close out here.
Well, thank you everyone for attending. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, Lauren and Lucy. And that concludes today's session. Thanks again for joining us, and a special shout out to our sponsors for their support. Without them, obviously, Marjorie would not be possible. We have some great sessions coming up in a few minutes. Otherwise, head over to the agenda, check out what session to join next, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.